Andrew Tate simply attacked Paul on the streets on December 14th. And believe me when I say that this so-sad boxer's big mouth opening at an event is worth seeing, probably to get some attention. He may have thought he could just trash and keep things lighthearted, but Jake realized that he wasn't in a ring and that there weren't any cameras set up for a hype reel. It wasn't a WWD promo, and it was just a random encounter.
Champions of the past, we have world champions of the present. Marissa Shields in the building.
Jake Paul, it's clear to me you are desperate for a reality check. You know what? If I made my money impressing 4-year-olds on YouTube and managed to somehow become a multimillionaire from it, I'd probably live in a dream world too. But let me explain something to you about combat sports. There are a whole bunch of men out here who will never be as famous as you, will never make the money you've made, who would kick the living
Great. As calm as ever, Andrew Tate came up to Jake in a manner that only he could. He had no intention of verbally sparring. Instead, he was there to convey the message that you can't get away with talking to someone like Andrew Tate.
The biggest clown on the fucking internet. If you want to fight and you want to send a contract, send one to me. I will take a few weeks break from living my retired life to kick the living fuck out of a fucking goofy, fucking entitled dickhead like you. You know my name, Andrew Tate.
Jake must have known at that instant that this was no longer a YouTube video. Even though no blows had yet been delivered, Jake's confidence briefly faltered due to Andrew Tate's physical intimidation. You could just see the gears turning in Jake's head. Wait, his guy's for real.
Yeah, he'll never do that though. He knows. He knows way.
One, he's under contract. And two,
he's not his own boss.
And two, he won't do it. He knows better. He might
And it's funny to say, like, yo, Conor McGregor is scared of Jake Paul. Will never.
Jake Paul and Andrew Tate's feud goes beyond the usual YouTube versus social media star drama. This rivalry is personal. Both men have built their careers around attention, confidence, and self-promotion. They thrive in the spotlight, but sometimes that intense attention can be overwhelming, leading to explosive confrontations. The core of their tension is not about money. Andrew Tate, with his estimated $710 million fortune, doesn't need the cash. What's truly at stake is respect. The situation heated up when Jake Paul, fresh off a series of fights with lower-tier opponents, began throwing around the names of some of boxing's biggest legends. Jake had already faced several lesser-known fighters, and while the legitimacy of those challenges has been widely debated, he was looking for his next big opportunity, something that would elevate him to an even higher level of fame. Naturally, he aimed high, targeting none other than Mike Tyson, a living legend in the sport. But Tyson, a former heavyweight champion with an unshakable legacy, wasn't interested in Jake's spectacle. Tyson had been through enough in his career to recognize when someone was trying to stage a publicity stunt, and he wasn't going to waste his time or tarnish his reputation in a meaningless fight for cash. Jake, however, was undeterred. His approach was always about the money and the spectacle. He wanted a fight that would sell millions in ticket sales and pay-per-view buys. And who better to generate that kind of buzz than a big name like Tyson? But with Tyson refusing to entertain the idea, Jake found himself scrambling for another opponent who could match his big talk. That's when Andrew Tate stepped in, seeing an opportunity to capitalize on Jake's desperation. Tate, an accomplished kickboxer with multiple championships, was never shy about calling out what he perceived as fake toughness in others. While Jake Paul's background was in YouTube fame and boxing stunts, Tate had a genuine combat sports reputation. He was known for being no-nonsense, tough, and outspoken, a stark contrast to Jake's often flamboyant persona. It was clear to Tate that Jake was avoiding real competition, seeking out easy targets to build his brand. So when Jake threw out the challenge to Tyson, Tate saw it as the perfect moment to step up and call Jake out directly. And call him out he did. Andrew Tate's response to Jake's antics was far from subtle. Tate wasn't looking for a friendly sparring session or a charity fight, as some of Jake's previous opponents may have been. No, Tate wanted a serious confrontation. For him, it was all about money and, perhaps more importantly, respect. Tate had a significant ego built on his years of success in kickboxing and his blunt persona, and he wasn't about to let Jake Paul, a YouTube star turned boxer, come in and claim a higher level of toughness than someone like him. Jake's narrative was practically begging Tate to step in, and Tate, with his long history of challenging anyone who crossed his path, accepted the invitation. This wasn't about petty drama or social media spats. It was a clash of two massive egos, both of whom wanted to prove they were the toughest and most respected in the fight world. What started as Jake's search for a big payday quickly turned into a high-stakes battle for pride and reputation. with Andrew Tate ready to remind Jake Paul that, in combat sports, respect is earned through real competition, not flashy stunts.
But let's say he would call you to fight. Would you take it?
Yeah, I mean, Jake and I actually talk. He's an all right guy. There was a time we were talking about fighting each other, and I think if this arrest didn't happen, it probably would have come to fruition. We'll see what happens in the future.
Andrew Tate, who is currently worth $710 million, didn't really need to become famous because he already had it. He had a point to show. Even though he wasn't having financial difficulties, Jake Paul, the self-described boxing sensation, was avoiding genuine competition by picking matches with legendary fighters. This was about putting Jake in his place, not about winning another battle. Tate wanted everyone to know that Jake was the one with the most actual fighting experience and that he truly deserved his reputation in the co-combat sports scene. He's going to fight Jake to demonstrate to Jake and the world the difference between words and action, not for money or celebrity.
Whatever conditions you want. 2 brothers, 1 cage. Jake Logan, you Tristan. Who comes out alive?
You know what? I'm trying so hard to not start internet beefs. I'm really trying not to.
You could say Jake and Logan, man.
Bro,
don't worry about it.
No, I can't lie. Bro, I'm going through life. I'm trying to live peacefully.
This fight was worth a casual $50 million. Jake Paul, the social media mogul turned boxer, earned millions with his bouts, especially against Andrew Tate, the kickboxing champion with a massive following and even more wealth. But Tate isn't just any opponent, he's a seasoned fighter, honing his skills long before Jake entered the ring. This wasn't just about cashing in on the spectacle, it was about proving who was the real deal. With a net worth of $710 million, Tate could have easily retired to a life of luxury. But this fight was personal, adding a unique layer to the matchup. It wasn't just about fame or money, it was about pride, skill, and showing the world who truly dominates in the ring. The stakes were as high as the cash. Jake Paul has always been known for his trash-talking persona, and when Andrew Tate called him out, it was no surprise that Jake didn't back down. Instead, he did what Jake Paul does best: talk trash. The social media star couldn't resist taking shots at Tate, questioning his fighting abilities, and throwing insults around like it was second nature. Let's face it, Jake's brand of trash talk isn't exactly sophisticated or well articulated, but that's part of the fun for his fans. In one of his Instagram rants, Jake fired off the classic line, "This guy's nothing but an internet personality. I'm the future of boxing, and I'm going to crush it." It was the typical Jake Paul move, dismissing Tate as a washed-up fighter who was just trying to stay relevant. Much like how Jake had dismissed other opponents in the past who didn't immediately bow down to him. But was it a smart move? Probably not. Andrew Tate wasn't the type of guy to take those kinds of insults lightly, and Jake should have known better. Tate has a long history in combat sports, and he's not the kind of guy to sit back when his reputation is being questioned. Jake, being the attention seeker that he is, probably underestimated Tate's willingness to stand up for himself. As expected, Tate responded calmly but firmly, daring Jake to step into the ring. Jake, of course, couldn't stop himself from replying with more insults, each message more arrogant than the last. What happened next? Well, things escalated quickly, and Jake was about to learn an important lesson. When you trash talk Andrew Tate, you're inviting consequences. Just when it seemed like the situation was heating up, Jake got another wake-up call in the form of none other than Floyd Mayweather. The undefeated boxing legend wasn't going to let Jake's comments slide. Mayweather, watching from the sidelines like a disappointed parent, tore into Jake, calling him out for rejecting Tate's fight offer. Floyd didn't just criticize Jake for dodging Tate, he absolutely shredded him for only fighting opponents he was sure he could beat. And let's be honest, Floyd was spot on. Jake's fights have often felt more like a spectacle than a legitimate test of his boxing skills. He's more about curating a highlight reel for YouTube than proving himself as a serious boxer. This wasn't just an attack on Jake's fighting skills, it was a slap in the face to his entire boxing persona. Floyd Mayweather isn't just any boxer. He's one of the greatest of all time, and his words carried weight. He exposed Jake for what many had suspected all along, that his fights weren't about testing his abilities in the ring, but about building a brand and getting clicks. But the most telling moment came when Floyd, a man with a 5-0-0 record, showed Jake what it looks like when someone with real skill and real history in the sport calls out his bluff. It was a reality check for Jake Paul, who had been so accustomed to running his mouth without consequence. Jake had built his career on stirring up drama, But when someone like Floyd Mayweather, a living legend, steps in, it's a different game entirely. The media exploded as headlines screamed about Mayweather's destruction of Jake Paul, the so-called problem child of boxing. Everyone had something to say about it, and the internet had a field day with the spectacle. But here's the twist: Andrew Tate wasn't out to ruin Jake Paul. He didn't need to. Jake had already done that himself. Tate wasn't after Jake's social media following or trying to humiliate him for the world to see. He simply made a statement. It was a reminder that trash talking comes with consequences, and sometimes those consequences are much bigger than you expect. Jake Paul learned that the hard way as he realized he had poked the wrong bear. Tate's confrontation with Jake wasn't just another celebrity spat, it was a statement that carried weight. It was Tate saying, "You don't mess with me, and you certainly don't mess with my reputation." For Jake, this was a reminder of something he should have learned much earlier in his career. Respect isn't something you can just talk your way into. It's something you have to earn. Jake Paul might have thought his confidence and trash talk would get him out of any sticky situation, but Tate's response proved otherwise. It was a harsh wake-up call for Jake, one that he'll hopefully take to heart the next time he decides to throw insults at someone who might actually have the skills and experience to back them up. If Jake's going to continue in the world of combat sports, he'll need to understand that there's a fine line between being confident and being reckless, and when you mess with the wrong person, that confidence might come crashing down faster than you can say, "I'm the future of boxing."